as I started introducing this, because it's not Wednesday, it's Monday, and typically when we do this, it's on a Wednesday, and it's called Wood Carving Wednesdays. But in the last maybe 2 weeks or so, week and a half, I've been posting pretty regularly. And I'll tell you what that is. I'll explain to you really quickly before we get into the live carving demo. And that is, I make a warm-up carving, if you will, warm-up carving. I call it a warm-up carving once a day. And what that means is I sit here for about an hour and I spend all of that time making something that I will eventually probably sell at an art show. And the reason that I do that is because I'm a terrible business person. No, it's because I do art shows, and it's a really interesting and fun way. If I'm being totally transparent, it's a fun and interesting way of interacting with my collectors, to meet them in person, just passerbyers. It's a very fun social experiment, and probably some of the most rewarding sort of work things that I do. So I like the art shows, and they are thoroughly exhausting. They're really intense. They're a lot of fun, and so I do recommend, if you're an artist and haven't done an art show, you do it. But needless to say, before I go into some sort of advice giving mode, it's time to get into this. So it's approximately 10:17 a.m. and that's totally irrelevant to this video because most of you will be watching after the fact. So I hope you enjoy this unimportant fact. I'm carving today in cottonwood. Let's go through the boring, nerdy stuff. I'm carving today in cottonwood bark. This is a piece of cottonwood bark that was a cut off end. You'll see that in just a second. And it's something that I found on the bandsaw. It's just a scrap piece. So this is the perfect opportunity, the perfect medium for a warm-up carve, if you will. Warm-up carve is finding these little scraps because you feel less attached to them. It's sort of like, for me, not having a very fancy notebook, to write in. Like if you have too fancy of a piece of wood, it's sort of like the fancy notebook that you don't want to write in because you don't have anything good enough to write in it. So this is like the piece of cottonwood bark that I don't care that much about because it was just going to go into the burn pile anyway. So coming up here, I've got Arts Beats and Eats, which if you're in the Metro Detroit area, come visit. I've got Arts and Apples, which is another fun event in the Rochester, Michigan area, coming after that. And that's my plug. Actually, it's really less a plug and just more a thing of saying, if you're in the area, please come by and say hi. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into the carving. Yeah, the lighting in here is a little funky. I've got quarter face Rembrandt style lighting. All right, so turn this around and we'll get going. Hope everyone's doing good today. I'm just getting back into the swing of things after a little trip with my wife. We celebrated our first year together, and that was a lot of fun. We went up to Bay City, which we later found out was not a very desirable vacation spot, but probably the least desirable waterfront town. Sorry if you live in Bay City, in Michigan. And so, yeah, we seriously though, we really enjoyed ourselves. We had a lot of fun. We got to see some version of a demo derby mixed with like a figure eight race where folks drove around a track and ran into each other and flipped over. It was a lot of fun. The people of Bay City were kind to us, and it was just a funny kind of shoot from the hip kind of a trip. That's kind of the way we do things. So we enjoyed it a lot, celebrating 1 year together just a few days ago. And it's crazy how fast the time flies. Seriously crazy. I don't know. I don't even have a grid for the way time is flying. But all right, let's set the timer here. We'll go 59 minutes because I don't feel like scrolling to the hour side of that timer. And we'll just kind of have some fun here. Now, because the way this was cut off, to give the other side of wood the undercut, the other piece that was attached here. This is sort of a scrap piece. I'm thinking it's a perfect opportunity to do some sort of a leafy green, man, because of this angle here. So I'm going to use my big, gnarly clearing tool, which, as you can see, is not cutting super cleanly, to clean the exterior bark. This stuff is full of sand and dirt, and so it is smart to use a less perfect tool, a rough tool at the early stages. And I've just now learned this. And this is one of those things I've learned from my students. I definitely have, over the years, heard of many students doing this. Well, they'll have a kind of old beat up tool that they'll use to kind of rough out the carving because they don't want to damage their nice fancy sharpened tools on the sandy exterior of the bark. Turns out they're onto something. Okay. Sorry about my hand getting in the way. It's hard to keep it completely out of the way. Hey folks, excuse me, Craig, Jason, Noah, Jason. Hey guys, thanks for the anniversary wish. Yeah, salute from France because I'm here on vacation. Ooh, Saskia's got a real vacation going. How is France? And I have carved driftwood, yes. In fact, there's a piece right here, a nice big piece of driftwood. And it's great. It can be great to carve. A lot of times driftwood is kind of, I don't know what it is, if it's softened up by nature, but it can be great to carve. You've also got really difficult driftwoods, woods that are extraordinarily hard, but most of the time, if you know what you're looking for, carving driftwood can be a very positive experience. But okay, so we got that. All right. Let's see. Yeah, do it. Enjoy France. I am partly French. In fact, the largest majority of my heritage outside of my very strong Greek heritage is French. It's French, and so my dad is mostly, well, he's not, yeah, he's probably mostly French. I don't know the exact. He's some Heinz 57 mix, but it's funny because I've got the two most sort of like typically romantic. I don't know if Greece is thought of as a typically romantic place, but you know the French are thought to be very romantic, and the Greeks, well, we don't need to talk about what they're known for, but and so I've turned into this just oozing pile of emotions as a result of my heritage. I'm helplessly. I don't know if I'm romantic. Actually, I don't think I'm romantic, but my heritage has definitely dealt me a difficult hand for as far as my predisposition. There's not enough German, not enough of the more temperate, emotionally temperate and stoic heritage in there. The French and the Greek, they're very emotive. My brother, speaking of heritage, my brother was calling me. So driftwood can be great for mounting a carving like fish and bird carvings. Yeah, that's a good point, Thomas. Yeah, a lot of people do that. So you see that a lot. You see like the bird perched up on the the driftwood piece. And so if you're doing a carving, you can kind of mount whatever wildlife you have onto that to make it look like it has a natural background or base. That's kind of a traditional thing I've yet to really experiment with. Bird carving or anything that would really require a driftwood base. Typically, I'm carving in the driftwood or in the found wood itself. Stiff upper lip in the UK, Alec. What does that mean? That's embarrassing. I'm just gonna embarrass myself and say, what the heck does that mean? Let's see. Driftwood can be. I was homeschooled, so that'll account for that. Hey, Glenn from Sweden. Oh, speaking of a wonderful place, Sweden is a wonderful place. I was just telling my wife about how it has to be my favorite. I mean, I've not been all over Europe, but between between Greece and Sweden, they're very different places. But I have to say I truly enjoyed my time in Sweden, maybe even more than just in terms of the type of people that live there and the environment. Sweden was awesome. Oh, not so romantic. Okay, Craig's saying stiff upper lip. Yeah, I must be English. All right, let's see. I really have no idea. Usually, I've got some sort of composition in mind, or at least some kind of tried and true thing. But in this case, I'm not so sure about this one. Ooh, it's dusty. Thank you, Glenn. It's just an incredible place. The Swedes, I stayed with, I think, was it 3 families, 3 different folks? And in each of the homes that we stayed in, we had a lot of cheeses, a lot of different crackers and breads in a basket with cheeses for almost, it seemed like every dinner or maybe it was a lunch. I can't remember now if it was a lunch or a dinner thing, but I just thought it was peculiar and kind of nice because I grew up with a dad who would often have the similar things. I forgot to mention this, the fish. There's like a lot of fish, like a lot of, was it herring? I don't know. Help me out here, Swedes. Like, sort of like sardines or whatever. Stinky fish, which I also grew up eating a lot of. So I enjoyed that as well. So, a lot of cheese, a lot of stinky fish, crackers, brie. That's good. Ooh, cloudberry jam. I still think about the cloudberry jam. I gotta get back. Hey, God bless you too, Noah. Appreciate you. Oh, man. Okay, so in a live stream... Oh, God, wait, hold on. I have to make sure I have my thoughts together here before I start promoting anything. Or anyone else's things. On what I'm doing here. Hold on. Okay, so if I set his face... We can try this. Oh, man, it's going to be hard. I'm digging a hole for myself over here. I know what I'm going to do. Do I? Do I know? Got myself in a hole here. What the heck am I going to do with this? Covered the thing in leaves, and now there's almost no room for the feature. Well. Okay. I guess I could have... Yeah, I could turn... Thinking out loud. Sorry. All right. I think I've got an idea what I'm going to do here. I keep saying that, and then I immediately change my mind. Okay, so in a previous video, some folks were talking about how Brian is teaching carving. Brian Melton, a friend of mine, and one of you guys reached out and said, "How can you help, Brian?" And if you're following Brian Melton on Instagram, he is he's an awesome carver, and he's only been doing it for a very short, relatively considering, how much skill he has. He's been doing it for a short period of time. And he is also a teacher. He teaches English, and he's been working an effort to try and develop a class. And he's definitely taught a class already in wood carving, and kind of introducing kids in schools to wood carving. And the school systems where he's from, I believe Knoxville, have been really supportive of that. And it's cool because there are so few kids that get exposure to these sort of old world crafts, and wood carving is definitely one of those. And as a wood carver, I'm very excited about that. I think that's neat. So, investing in a future generation so that this kind of art form doesn't totally fade away. And, somebody reached out and asked if they could help him, how they could help him. So I mentioned it to Brian, and he said the best thing that you could do would be to send. He said, best thing they could do is really just send you money, Alec. Just sign the checks out to Alec Lacasse. He said, man, by supporting you, they're really going to be supporting me, so. And I said, well, I really don't understand that, but I'll make sure and pass that along. So I really appreciate you guys sending me free money. It's going to go, who knows where it'll go, but I appreciate it. No, he didn't say that. He said to support him by donating sculpting mallets, which are, basically what he was saying is if folks are interested in supporting him, and you're a wood turner, these are really fun and easy to turn out on the lathe. This is obviously not made of wood. I have a wood example somewhere around here, but you've got a handle and then a round head, and this is what we use to whack a carving tool. And so the classroom could use some of those. He's reaching out to folks for sponsorship in terms of tools. So that's what he is. That's what he needs. So don't actually do send me money. I'd love that. But anyway. Hey, Oliver. Hey, guys. I never know. It's like I could have conversations with each one of you individually, but I should probably just kind of focus on what I'm doing here. And, but what's going on? What's going on, you guys? Might as well have the conversations anyway. What's good in your world? Talk to me. Talk to me. Woo! Well, you know what? We'll just leave that. Leave that. When I was a kid 13 years, doing shows 13 years ago. Oh, when I was doing shows 13 years ago, I made some kids' tools out of doweling. Just put a bevel on one side and hey presto, set of carving tools. Very cool. Just at work here in the UK, boring. Finally caught a stream since I live in Australia and I'm usually asleep. All right. Very cool. Hi, all. Alec, maybe just a single detailed feature among the leaves. Yeah, there you go, Sock Monkey. Appreciate it. Hey, Oliver. Sunflower says, hi, I'm a new subscriber. Do you sell your items? Well, at the beginning of this live stream, I don't want to turn this into a repeat of what I just said earlier, but I was saying part of the reason that I do these daily warm-ups is to make smaller things that I can sell. So, these things aren't thousands of dollars, and most of the time it's something more affordable. And typically the avenue for that is art shows. And art shows are something that I used to do a whole lot of. I can't feasibly do a whole lot of them anymore. It's really not all that lucrative. It's just a lot of fun. So I do a couple a year, and I bring them to those shows, and it's a good time. But part of the thing that has been, part of what's been kind of haunting me recently is how I have yet to really develop any online sales other than just, folks reaching out and saying, hey, I want the carving from that live stream, which does happen. So eventually, I hope, and tell me what you guys think about this, I hope to create like a little shop online. I know I've been doing this for 17 years, and I'm just now really coming up with a way of selling stuff online, which is absolutely hilarious. But I don't really have a surplus of artwork, because it's, thank the Lord, my stuff sells. And so it's not like I've had this big need to sell individual pieces, but as I continue to do these daily warm-ups and, take these warm-ups and refine them into, hopefully nice carvings, I'll have more, hopefully. And as I'm only doing a couple of art shows, the hope is, folks, that I will have an online store by the winter, and I'll do a drop. What I'll do is I'll have, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6, 7, 8, up to 10 carvings, say. And I'll wait maybe a couple of months for those to be finished. Then I'll have a sort of release. I'll have a little event, and I'll kind of let everyone know leading up to it so they have adequate time to kind of keep an eye on what they want, or to actually anticipate the launch, because they wouldn't be able to see it. That's the whole point of the launch. Excuse me. I'm still working this out. Yeah, to do that sort of a thing, like a product launch. You see that a lot on the internet. People, artists, making a limited supply and then releasing that limited supply and kind of making a fun event out of it. So something like that is the goal. But as the winter generally finds me a little bit calmed down in terms of the obligations, events, and things, I'll be able to do that. So that's the long-winded answer to your question. Oliver says you'll have a new student in your school soon. Oh, what's his name? I'd love to meet him. No, thanks, Oliver. Appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy that. That's a resource I'm adding to consistently, and I'm always obsessed. You can talk to my wife, but even on our vacations, unfortunately, I'm obsessed with this thing of how do I make the school better? How can I invest more time and effort and energy into growing it and making it a better thing? So I hope that that's a good resource for folks, and that those of you who are watching who are members of the school have enjoyed it, and always love your feedback. So this is kind of funny because his face is going to be, I've never done this where his face is almost completely covered, just part of his nose peeking out. But yeah, it's kind of cool. I think I like it. Yeah. I like it. So last night I got to see one of our friends from church play a punk rock band. He was in a Christian punk rock band that was actually signed to a label. It was a touring act, and it was called Johnny Respect. Any of you hear of Johnny Respect before? I wasn't aware of this subgenre of punk rock, but because I only knew about the major ones, like 20 years ago. So like Blink-182 and sort of the big guys that were popular, in just the normal, in the secular world. But I enjoyed that concert a lot. I got my myself a nice T-shirt, some stickers. And have you ever seen someone in a normal day-to-day kind of work context, and then seen them in their element and thought, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how cool. You always thought they were cool, but you didn't realize how cool they were until you saw them in their element. Well, that's how I felt about my friend Sam. I see him every week, and I know he's a cool guy because he's just a cool guy. He's a nice dude. But seeing him up there as a drummer for a punk band and drumming at 1,000,000 miles, I can't believe that hands can move that fast on the drum set. What do I know about drumming? But I just thought it was awesome. I look at him now in a new way. So it's cool to see people do what they're good at and work in their element, So glad I went to that. Got to hang out with my friends who went to that, for friends from church as well. Really enjoyed it. So that's a little bit about me. Tell me more about you. Treating this like a first date. Okay. So check out Johnny to Respect. Thank you, Lori. She says she loves my online school. Very cool. Yeah, I don't know that the school is really for everyone either. I should say, kind of the thing is that people sometimes they'll join the school, and maybe eventually the name should change because it's called Fundamentals of Wood Carving. And it does go into the fundamentals. The goal of the school is it kind of takes you through some very the necessary things that you need to know as a beginner relief wood carver. But the truth is, it's not comprehensive in that the goal was not to show you every form of wood carving. So Fundamentals of Wood Carving doesn't talk about chip carving, it doesn't talk about intarsia, all these other forms of woodworking that are kind of classified as in the wood carving world. It really is hyper focused on what I am most interested in, and so I try to describe that on the splash page. And so, folks that are not familiar already with the school, or maybe folks who have tried the school out and realize it's not for them, most of the time that's due. I think at least it's due to the fact that it's just not it's not kind of engaging in the style of carving that they're interested in. So, I would warn people not to sign up for the carving school if carving faces in relief form is not your kind of primary interest or primary desire of growing because I will post other things. There's some relief stuff as I've gotten it, and I'll even post some other busts and I don't know what animals and stuff like that occasionally, but it's not the focus of the school. There are beginner whittles on the school's page as well, a few of those, but again, that's not the main purpose either. So anyway, it's like a reverse advertisement. I just don't want folks to sign up and find out that it's not for them. So if you're interested in carving faces, it's I think it's a great resource. I hope it's a great resource. I wished I had something like it when I was a kid starting out in carving. So would have begged my parents to pay for it as a class, as a homeschool class, because it was homeschooled. As long as we could rate it off as a class, which I'm sure we would have because it's something that I was passionate about. So, and it's all not that expensive, really, in the scheme of things when you compare it to the workshops, the live in-person workshops. So, gotta take flight, my friend. All right, Sock. Be safe. As a beginner, it's been quite helpful in the easy and beginner projects. It also includes intermediate and advanced projects that challenge me to step out of my comfort zone. All right, Lori, checks in the mail. Thanks for that comment. I have a lot of cold hard cash waiting in your mailbox for that comment. So you really did copy and paste that script I wrote perfectly. So thank you. I'm just waiting for the other folks I planted in this chat here to comment for me. I sent them the script. I don't understand, but whatever. Okay. I don't like how all of the leaves are the same. Sup, dude? Have you watched Barbie yet? Oh boy. Yeah, I have. I've seen Barbie. And I wanted to see Oppenheimer, if I'm being honest. And we paid for the tickets to see it, but the theater said that there weren't any tickets on file, and that the tickets that we bought, even though our account cleared, someone apparently bought the same seats right before us, and yet they still charged us for the seats. Anyway, I'm not bitter about it, but I paid for Oppenheimer, and I didn't get tickets, and I still haven't gotten a refund. So what am I going to do with that? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm not kidding, actually. That's what happened, but it's fine. It's $13. So Imagine Theaters, pay up if you're watching. Of the 24 people watching this in real time, pay up if it's you, owner of Imagine Theaters. Yeah, Barbie was good. Yeah, it was definitely. There were a lot of inside jokes for people that played with Barbies. So I have to be honest, I missed a lot, but I did laugh, and it aged well. Like the next morning, I woke up and I was thinking about some of the things that were said and some of the themes in the show or the movie, and did make me laugh. So, and there's a good overall. I think it was a good message. So Oliver's looking for a flat gouge before he joins the school. All right. Johnny Respect, yeah. So Matt's talking about the band I saw last night, and yeah, Johnny Respect. I don't know if it's a play on that because I don't know a lot about punk music, but or if that's a punk band at all. How can I make this? I know what I'll do. I'll know what I'll do. I need to turn it inside. See you, Craig. We'll watch the rest later. All right, talk to you guys. Or you, Craig, in particular. Okay, it's getting a little better. See you, Saskia. Thanks a lot. carving out some forms, leaf forms, outlines. Trying to make it so that they're not all stick straight because, you know, no one likes a stick straight leaf. Am I right? I mean, we just hate stick straight leaves, all of us. It's funny, I still think about the critique that one of my parents' friends gave me about one of my Greenmen when I was a kid. But how all the leaves were perfectly flat, and how leaves typically don't look perfectly flat. So maybe if you just gave them a little bit more angle. And I don't know, I still kind of resent that lady for that comment. No, it was good feedback. My stomach says hi. Oh, man. Oh, my hand, right in the way. Okay, Sunflower is asking the age-old question, what kind of wood do you carve on? And I'll also answer Bob's question in the same breath. I do carve a lot of this particular wood is cottonwood, and so, you know, for the sake of the art show season, I'm typically carving in this material because I can make a lot of art in it. It's just what it comes down to is it's the best to carve. It's super easy to carve, and I like the result, and the coloration and the look of it is really awesome. And so I make a lot of carvings in this material leading up to shows. You know, when I have more time, I like to work in what I call slower woods, which are just harder woods that tend to take a little bit more effort and energy, even just more physical energy. So when it comes to the slower woods, my favorites are birch, I wouldn't put basswood in a slower category. It's so soft that, you know, it's pretty quick and easy to carve, but you don't get this kind of natural formation. And this is my favorite thing to do. But in terms of woods that I most enjoy carving, basswood is definitely up there, maybe even better than cottonwood bark. It's just you don't usually get these natural forms, and it's just a different look and experience altogether when you're making a little whittle out of basswood. So yeah, will I return to, you know, carving other woods more frequently? Of course, absolutely, yeah. But in the meantime, if you want to see that, there's, you know, tons and tons of videos up on YouTube that I've made carving in basswood, and, you know, if you're already a member of the school, you can see there are some projects there and other materials as well. So yeah, no problem, son. Hey, from Michigan. Hi, murky waters from Southern Oregon. I almost said, I don't know why I was saying hi, Southern Oregon. Maybe I'll just start referring to you guys by your locations, huh? Yeah, I always love hearing where you guys are from. So if you want, you know, go ahead. Feel free to type that in the comments below. Just cool to see how these spread geographically. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, okie dokie. This has got quite a bit of rot in it. That's what this light coloration is. It's rot, and it's actually bad. It's not good. It lends to some interesting colors at the end of the day. It's kind of makes things more interesting. But as far as the carving experience goes, generally it's bad, if I'm being honest. How it looks in the end, well, it might be worth the difficulty. When this spalting or rot comes into play, it sometimes makes things really, really interesting and cool. So just hard to know. You're gonna have to sort of a guess and see type thing. Hopefully the quality of the carving overcomes the rot in the materials and complements the kind of rot and discoloration. Sunflower's watching from Alabama. Does cottonwood bark get punky a lot? Yeah, it does. Hey, from Mississippi. Hey. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. It does get punky. I wouldn't say a lot, but it definitely happens. But considering that it's at the outside of the tree, happens a lot less than you'd think. A lot less than you'd think. Using a riffler. It's a nice little tool if you're trying to remove material in a very kind of specific area and not a lot of it. The riffler is great for that. Hi from Moscow. Can you stabilize the bark? Exactly. He says here, Watson says, it might be a nightmare to carve though once you've stabilized it. Yeah. That's the big problem with trying to stabilize bark. I mean, you know, I don't think it's a good idea personally to spend time trying to, you know, shore up the grain of cottonwood bark when the real beauty of cottonwood bark is the ease of carving. So if you soak it with glue, it's kind of defeats the whole purpose to me. So it seems like a terrible idea. But I mean, if you have a weak area, I understand. I understand isolating that area, but it just seems like an awful thing to have to deal with to soak a whole carving in some glue or stabilizer that makes the tree or the wood way more difficult to carve. Thanks, Lucy. Let me get this at an angle here. See it from a little different vantage point. There's always something breaking off that I'm fixing in these carvings. All right, let me zoom out a little. Woo! Okay. Little undercut action coming up underneath the leaves to separate them from the background. Makes them sort of look like leaves and them appear as though they're kind of floating away from the background. Less clunky. And, you know, they really almost don't look like leaves until you've done that. Oliver says, I've heard the term punky quite a lot in the wood carving world. What does that actually mean? Punky just means a wood with attitude, right? Like punk. Like, no, it just refers to the rot in a tree. You know, almost always refers to just some unusually soft wood, usually kind of compromised wood caused by rotting. So we call that punk. It doesn't do what you want it to do. That's right. It's the definition of punk. In wood carving and in music. I like to think I'm kind of punk. I like to think that I'm very cool and punk. Super hardcore punk. Yeah, no, truth be told, I went to this punk concert, which I think is the first punk concert I've ever been to last night, and I had utterly no idea what to wear. And so I just opted to wear exactly what I was already wearing, and fit right in. So it turns out the punk scene, people are, you know, at least at the place that I was at, people just kind of were dressed normally for the most part. One of our friends was dressed up with kind of like a baseball cap with kind of piercings through the baseball cap, and he was very, very hardcore looking, but I didn't have anything. He had like a skull on the front of his baseball cap and some kind of edgy phrasing on it, but unfortunately I didn't have anything like that, and so I just had I looked like a hiker from the Bay Area. That's probably what I looked like. Wait, do they have hikers in the Bay Area? A hiker from Oregon, maybe. Oregon State. Maybe Seattle. Kind of look like I didn't belong there. You are to me, Alec, but unfortunately I think your job is too wholesome to be considered punky. Oliver, I told you not to do this in front of my friends. I think a lot of people think I'm pretty hardcore. Right, guys? Yeah. See? You can't hear them, Oliver, but they're all saying yeah. All in unison. Behind their TV screens. Behind their cell phones and desktop computers. Very hardcore. Very punk. Yeah. See, Murky Water says definitely. Sunflower says yes. It's sort of a unanimous agreement that I'm very punk rock, very punk. Thank you, Oliver. At least you're willing to admit when you're wrong. He apologizes, everyone. Oliver just says that he's sorry. And I'm assuming that means he'll never do it again. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Oliver, but you'll never assume that wood carving isn't hardcore. Again, I'm sure. Come on my show and claim that I'm not hardcore just because I'm carving a quietly sleeping old man in cottonwood bark, okay? What about that isn't hardcore? James says, I'll never question it again. I'll never question your coolness again. Wow. You're darn right you won't. Oh, I think your carving is definitely hardcore. Don't get me wrong. Oh, wait. Paul says, wouldn't hardcore be the opposite of punky? That's a great insider wood carving. You don't get that joke, folks. Stick around the wood carving community a little bit longer. I was around in the 80s, hardcore. Alec, not so much. Dave, no one asked you. And by woodworking business, I mean carving business. That's right. No fear. I have misled a few of your loyal followers. Oliver, you have misbranded me. I have always been the cool guy, standing in the corner with the toothpick in his mouth, the leather jacket, the slick back black hair, brooding. Ladies love him. That's definitely me. But for somehow a single comment you've convinced a whole bunch of folks on this live stream that I'm just a nerdy wood carver, and they're wrong. You're all wrong. I'm so cool. So deeply cool. All right. Enough of this. I can't stand it anymore. All right, 2 minutes left on the clock. I enjoy this. I enjoy the jokes, I guess. The jokes. What would you say the key things are to have in place when you consider starting up a woodworking or carving business? Oliver, I can't tell if you're just placating to me now because of feeling bad. That's a very nice question, Oliver. I'm still skeptical of you, but I would say if you were to start a business in wood carving, the first thing is to really just sort of give up on the idea of making serious money within the first 10 years. And by serious money, I mean a livable wage. Bears and squares. Hey, Alec, do you have any tips for making realistic noses? Mine are always quite flat and bulky, which makes them look unrealistic. Oh, cool. Good question. Nice work always. I was originally thinking you were going to have to go with the Cyclops. Yeah. Yeah, same here. I thought I would have to do that too. Yeah, tips for making realistic noses. I always like, this angle. When I'm, teaching in the school, I always end up getting people underneath the nose. I always want them to look from underneath. So if you're looking at your carving from underneath, you're going to notice a lot. For instance, in this case, the pyramid kind of shape or triangle shape, how it widens at the base and it narrows at the tip. So if you don't have that, you may potentially, I don't know for sure, but you may potentially, excuse the shaking here, have too flat a nose. It's often the case. You can create a bulbous nose, but you're rarely going to see a totally square, flat nose at the tip. So you're going to look for that tapering, that point coming upward. I think that angle is really helpful. Also, just looking at the side profile, coming along the side angle, making sure you've got good nasal projection. That's helpful too. Keep getting around that carving from the front, side, bottom. And if you're not seeing that projection, then you're doing something wrong. There's more to it than that, but that's the gist of it. But in all seriousness, Oliver, to your question about wood carving business, key things to have in place. First and foremost, take a little time to expand your skills in carving before you sell, right? That's huge. That's important. So for me, I think it was about a year, probably not long enough before I started to sell my stuff. But I think it's important to kind of not sell things before you feel that you have some skill at it. You're not embarrassed of your work. That was important for me, at least. But some other things, to keep in place, to have in place, before you start selling a bit, selling your stuff, is definitely, become an accountant. No, I did go to school for business marketing for about 3 weeks, something like that. And I learned a lot, but the biggest thing I learned is word of mouth is the most effective means of marketing your stuff. And what that takes is, on your part, is just kind of sharing your work. And so I would say, be confident enough about your work to share it. So what that means is, as you start to grow your skill, in tandem with that growth should be your willingness to kind of share it with the world. So whether that's to post pictures online, get feedback from others, kind of rub shoulders with others in real life as well, not just online. I like that. Face-to-face interaction a lot more than I do the internet only interactions with people. So that's huge. Definitely, I do suggest that you gain experience from in-person sales. I think that's helpful, at least at some point in your life, aside from doing just the online things. There's so much that goes into it. There's so much I'm still learning about it. I spent a lot of time being interested in the financial part of art. I've never been good at it, and I think that's why it always intrigues me, is I've never fully understood it or feel like I've had it down pat. But there's there's a lot to learn, and I'm always interested in the financial aspect of artwork. And whether that sometimes it turns people off, that's fine. But people have to understand that artists, people that choose to make a living with their artwork, they really have to be concerned with that sort of thing. I'm not, as much as anyone else is concerned about they're getting paid, right, for their work. And when you're self-employed, you're the one responsible for that paycheck. So you do have to consider those things. And so, just being conscious of it. It's a separate, all of it is a separate skill. He says business is a skill in and of itself. Yeah. Will you sell your carvings after the show? Yes. You're good, Lucy. Yeah. Very good. Bears and squares. Practice that nose. yeah, folks typically will DM me via email or something, and my website's linked in the description below, so you can shoot me a message through the website. My email is just my name, Alec, 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 Lacasse.com. So it's Alec, repeat again, at Alec, Lacasse.com. Alec at AlecLacasse.com. Lacasse is LACASSE. You can reach out to me at that email.com. And business, yeah, it's funny that people are sort of in the in the world of hobby carving, people are very turned off by business. Not everyone, but a few very vocal people are turned off by the conversation of business. And it's interesting because it seems that people are a little misguided in what having a business savvy means. It doesn't mean taking advantage of folks or being kind of only money oriented. It means that with increased skill level and increased understanding of business comes an increased understanding of what your value is in the marketplace of art. So and many times people in the carving world, they sort of miscategorize themselves, I think, as just a hobby artist that doesn't deserve to be paid for it. And you see a lot of people undercharging, and that's okay, because those people might be retired. They might just be doing it as a hobby anyway, and they don't need the money. So in that case, I think it's great that people price affordably, and I do try and price affordably as well. Not, in some cases when I can, but that's not what woodcarvers are in the business to do, is make somebody a crazy deal that they can't refuse. Artists are instead just sort of called to try to increase their skills, connect their audience, and sell at a price that works for both the collector and the artist. So to be fair, this live stream is supposed to end a few minutes ago. The timer's gone up, but I'm just having so much fun chatting with you guys that I'm still on here. Lucy says, thank you for doing these videos. If I can ever get the sharpening technique down, I plan on joining your online school. Yeah. Well, I have a video up on YouTube. It's a free video, Lucy, that you can check out. If you just Google my name or YouTube search my name, something will come up. And put the word sharpening in there, of course, and Alec Lacasse sharpening. And there's a pretty full-length video on sharpening. Doug Linker also has one. He came by and filmed and posted on his website or YouTube channel. You can check out his. And so yeah. Oh, I don't speak. Is that Spanish from Argentina? Yeah. Sorry. Translation, please. You deserve a living, skilled, passion, and inspiring others. Thank you. Maybe one more quick side view so I can compare it with mine. Oh, Bears, are you carving alongside? I hope so. That's cool. There's a side view. So a couple other tips on business. I mean, I've done videos on this before, but since we're here, I'll just rehash it. Find people to help you price. They should be a couple different types of people. For one, you should have people in your life who are already kind of in your circles help you price. But even more importantly, having someone who does what you do or is a creative in some capacity and makes a living from it. Running it by them, I think, is also really helpful. Just to see what someone else thinks. It's such a simple thing to do, and it's such a kind of palm to forehead thing, just to say, well, ask a friend. But that's been so invaluable for me in my pricing. The issue is sometimes we're too close to our own artwork or craft work to appreciate the value of it or to understand. Some of us will overestimate its worth, and others will underestimate it. In fact, most of us, I find, most people will under evaluate their money, their artwork. So it's a trick. It's a trick, and sometimes getting outside of yourself, asking somebody a question about the value of a piece will can break that cycle and get you into the real world. That's my first kind of tip as far as business goes, and kind of figuring out how to price. I mean, yeah, again, as far as marketing goes, just getting your stuff on a website, getting your stuff on social media is the real key, and just consistently sharing your journey and your work, I feel like, has helped, and I've just, I've struggled with consistency for a whole lot of time as far as posting goes, but, at some form or another, I've been posting weekly, and it's made a big difference. So. Been doing the weekly posting on social media over the past few months now, and definitely really fun and a helpful thing. It's funny. There's actually some science. I can't remember what it was exactly, so I don't want to misquote it, but it relates to the happiness that people experience, or satisfaction people get from engaging in social media versus consuming it. So the proportion of consumption to creation is important. So you really want a balanced, you want an evenly balanced sort of thing. Even better yet, you want to produce more than you're consuming, which I'm not saying this because I've done that necessarily, but I do feel that when I've contributed more to the platform than I've consumed, or at least I contribute more, I feel generally more satisfied with the use of social media. When I just get on there to consume, I always feel bad afterwards. I always feel like a wasted time, almost always. Unless you're seeing something that makes me laugh or inspires me, which is pretty often too. So there's a great place for it, consuming. But I love that idea of keeping it in proportion to making stuff, to posting things, whether you're posting or someone's posting for you. Your contribution is important. So. Thank you, Tail Dragger. No reference, bears and squares. Yes, if I, he says, do you work of a reference with a project like this? Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I will if I'm, I don't know, if I feel like I'm in a rut with things, I'll do that. But right now, I'm not, because sometimes it actually slows me down, especially on a live stream. There's too many things to keep track of, comments, you know, a photo, the actual carving itself. Something falls apart, and some, you know, it's nice to just kind of carve from imagination at times too. So in this case, no, I am not using a reference photo. Thanks, Oliver. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's funny. My wife and I went to this reenactment museum yesterday. Kind of an outdoor historical reenactment museum, and where you sort of peruse this kind of this village, and a lot of folks I think have experienced this before, right? You've gone to these sort of things. Am I wrong? I don't know. I should probably finish describing what it is. And there are people who are at these stations dressed in garb from the, say, late 1800s. I think most of the village was from the late 1800s. And they are demonstrating what village life looked like. You know, so there's a blacksmith, there's a broom maker, there's a woodworker, so all sorts of folks in different capacities demonstrating. And we happened to go on a day where it was interactive event, so folks could actually make things. You could sign up for an event, and you could actually learn how to do something. So my wife and I signed up for broom making, and I made myself. I left it in my wife's car, otherwise I'd pull it out, show off my amazing handiwork. But not so much. It was a really fun trip, but what I realized midway through, actually pretty late in the trip, is that my entire life is like a 19th century reenactment. It's like I just sit here with old tool. I mean, really old tools. I mean, I've got modern technology. I'm live streaming this, but otherwise, I mean, this is probably a 200-year-old tool I'm carving with right now. Most of my tools are, and it was a funny realization to walk through and say, well, I don't have the costume, but I really am kind of building my life around these very old, 150-year-old or 130-year-old ideals and technologies. And so, I could have done this job in history, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and that is It just made me laugh. I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't know if that speaks to my relevance in the world, but probably does speak to the fact that I'm a little old-fashioned, or I'm a little behind the times. But maybe I have to start carving cell phones or something. Yeah, Bears and Squares. You're right. He says time to get the costume as well then. Yeah. Yep. Reenactors. Yes. Did I say it a funny way? I'm not sure why. It would be nice to see the pieces finished that you do on the live chat. Yeah, Dave. Yes, I often fail at posting the finished pieces. So these live streams just keep getting longer and longer so that I can actually show you what they look like. No, I haven't actually totally finished a carving on a live stream before, I don't think. Typically I end up spending quite a bit, at least some time more on them, trying to get them dialed in. So you can always fall back on broom making now. Yeah. Right, exactly. Yeah. My resume is just full of irrelevant skill sets. Broom maker, wood whittler, face carver, hiking stick manager and developer. I can tie 2 different varieties of knots. I know how to do a basic fishing knot. A square knot, I think, is it? I don't know. See, I'm already failing that one, but thank you, Lucy, for the donation. I appreciate that. How do I celebrate her? I can celebrate her? It says that I can celebrate her. Thank you. I do appreciate that. And I have just learned recently that folks can give me, they can donate. And I appreciate when they do. The last couple live streams, folks have done that. And that is never expected. But as Linker says, always appreciated. So it really helps. Makes me feel like very, very, very appreciative. So UJ Audit says, do you do children's faces? No, I don't do them enough. I don't do them enough. Have I even done one? I don't know if I have. You know, I've been thinking about it more. Recently, you see these like medieval cherubs and building. You know, when you go to any of these old buildings and you see this kind of like 19th century carving, you see a lot of cherubs. And when I see them, I always think to myself, man, I have to carve a baby one day. But maybe just that sentence alone kind of sounds scary. I have to carve a baby. But yeah, one day I will. I don't know. It's not that I don't want to. It's that maybe that I'm just not as excited. I mean, obviously, I'm not as excited about it because I haven't done it ever. Maybe once. I think when I was younger, and I think if I remember correctly, it was the most terrifying baby in the entire universe. I have seen some carvers. I won't name names, but I have seen some carvers do some really terrifying looking babies. So you do have to have a certain softness of hand to do a baby properly. To do a carving of a baby properly, you have to not carve pointy teeth. The teeth can't be too pointy, otherwise it looks like a demon baby. Is face painting next on your resume? No, I think I have a controversial opinion about face painters, or people that do painting on people's bodies at art fairs. But yeah. And by the way, Tail Dragger, that's not irrelevant enough for me. It's not esoteric enough. Face painting is too mainstream. Now, if you're a face painter, I don't mean it. I don't actually have that strong of feelings. I've never actually met a bad face painter. They're nice people, I'm sure. At least they think they convince you they are. No, just kidding. Best way to ruin a joke is to say "just kidding" afterwards. That's how you know it's a good joke. That's when you have to say "just kidding." So you know you got yourself a doozy. Elbow painting. Spellcasting. Not esoteric enough. Thank you, though. When is your next coffee and carving with Doug? I always enjoy those. Lucy, yes, very soon. Very soon. Wait and see. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but we're doing one shortly. So hang tight. I don't want to give these ones as much texture as I usually do. Change it up a little. Also, thinking about reenactment museums kind of reminds me of that Borat skit that shows up to one of those outdoor reenactment museums and sees a shack and goes into it of a spoon carver who's using one of those fashioned spoon carving chairs, and he says, "Well, I thought America was very technology, but now I understand they're not." And he asks him, "Are you a slave?" "No, I'm not a slave. I'm a historical reenactor." "Yes, can I buy you?" It's just, it's terrible. Oh, man. Do you like me? I don't know that I do. It's a great skit. I'm destroying the skit, but it's a funny skit. I guess it's really not a skit because the reenactor, the spoon carver in the video is actually not in on it, right? That's the whole point of Borat. So he's actually tricking people. It's kind of, that wouldn't fly in today's society. Thanks, Dave. Do you have a favorite chisel brand? Kind of need a big one for roughing out, but don't know a brand. Don't have brand knowledge since most of mine are handmade by a family member. Oh, that's neat. Yeah, I do have a couple of favorite brands. I can't say that there's any one I find that's a lot better than another as far as these kind of major brands, but they're in no specific order. Swiss made, Stu by, and I've heard good things about the Flexcut chisels. A lot of good things. They're more affordable. Not a lot of negative things. I really should get myself a set. Hey, Flexcut, if you want to send me a set. Actually, I should just email them. But yeah, so I'm a fan of all of those makers. From my knowledge, the Swiss made and Stu by are some of the better ones. A little bit more pricey on both fronts. And if you're not into sharpening, don't buy from Stu by the actual direct. You want to go through, make sure that the folks who are dealing your tools are sharpening them, because otherwise you're going to come roughly kind of ground and you have to do a lot of polishing and some sharpening work yourself. So just be sure if you're going to buy, you're going through somebody who has, you know, they're claiming that they're sharp, because they're otherwise not coming out of the factory super sharp. I think that's kind of an old-fashioned way of doing things. They've been making knives for over 100 years. Dubai has. Let's see, any others that I'm aware of. Henry Taylor makes great knives. I have a couple of those. I like them. Henry Taylor, what's the other one? Two Cherries makes carving tools as well. I'm not really familiar with them as much. I have a couple of their tools, but yeah, those are some of the big ones that I'm aware of. I'm probably missing some. But. Meg asks, I'll get back to your question in a second, Meg. First, Murky Waters, he's looking for links in my links below. He's not seeing a basic knife set. Is there a good set to start with? Okay, so you're coming from power carving and you're looking for a knife set. Yeah, really, there's a lot of good makers out there, truly. Flexcut makes a really great quality product. As far as a set, I don't know that you need a set. To start with a knife, you really only need one knife. But I think you're talking about gouge sets. If that's the case, you're going to want to go with probably one of the better European manufacturers, or Flexcut if you're kind of on a budget. Or if you're really on a budget and you just want to try out carving, controversial opinion, Beavercraft makes some nice products. They make... you know, they're a little bit hit or miss on the quality. I've heard people complain about them before, but you know, I've had good luck with their tools, and so they have some kind of basic sets as well that are very affordable. They're Ukrainian-made tools, but yeah, you know, if you're trying to, you know, if you have a little bit more to spend, I would go with the Flexcut, and then if you have more than that to spend, you know, the higher end, go Swiss made or Stubai, which is STUBAI, I believe. I think that's right. Yeah. AI. Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, gouges. And then Meg asks where I get my inspiration for carving ideas. That's probably a weak point of mine. I honestly, I kind of stick to a lot of the same themes. I'm actually really overly fascinated by the same themes. I will say that I genuinely am not bored with a lot of the same themes that I've done for years, because I always like kind of seeing where the mistakes take me and the alterations of those kind of simple forms. But I do get inspiration from other artists and painters, and I get excited about making things definitely through watching painters paint and makers make. But really, as woo-woo as it sounds, the mistakes tend to guide my carvings. Like seeing a little indentation somewhere reminds me of something I can do. And I like that about these sort of like organic, you know, flora themes. You can just kind of go with the flow, and if something breaks, you can always just change it, because nature is imperfect. That's why I don't mow my lawn so often, right? Tell it to your neighbors. They'll love that excuse. So I like a lot of the same things. I like people. I stick to people, because I have I need friends, and the only thing that I can do to get friends, because I don't know, carve them. I have to carve my friends. I have a wife. She's my friend. You guys have some good questions today. At risk of sounding like a kindergarten teacher, you have some great questions today. They're very entertaining questions. got into trouble mowing diamond patches in my lawn. All right, well, I've got to end this at some point here. I can't let this go all day. But, geez, I might as well detail. I got to detail these leaves. If I've come this far, there's almost no turning back now. Might as well throw these veins in. One of the best decisions that any of my neighbors has made is my neighbors Aaron and Danny. They got chickens and ducks, and so around this time, late morning, early afternoon, you can hear them crowing, or whatever you call it. Yeah, crowing. That's right. And it's just really cool. I feel like I live on a farm, and I love it. I think it's cool. Thanks, tail dragger. Not a single flat leaf. No flatness here. I only make carvings for my critics. Thank you, Lucy. Cibatech, is that a decent one? I'm not familiar with Cibatech. There's definitely a dealer. If you go to, I think it's whittlingShack.com, you can find Stu by there, and then I believe those do come fairly sharp. So, yeah, you might have to do some polishing. But yeah, the Chris over there does. He does. At least he did last I checked. Polish them or sharpen them. You really kind of dial them in. You seal your pieces with yeah, I do seal them. Lately I've been using this a lot. It's a nice finish. It looks very subdued. Doesn't look like there's a lot of gunk on the carving once you apply the finish. In fact, a lot of folks at the shows that I've been going to recently, since I adopted this wood finish, say that they ask me if I can put a finish coat on them. Folks will look at a carving. Maybe the customer will ask before they leave if I can clear coat it, or if I do clear coat my carving. So that's a good sign. That means that people, they can't tell that they're sealed. Okay. Thanks again, Lucy, for the contribution. I think folks, they don't realize how big of an impact, $2 donation is like half of the possible monetization for the video after it's been up for a few weeks. Like you might make, $3 or $4 on a video. So that's a big help. So it's like a sort of 50% pay increase on the video to do the live stream. And so I appreciate it. Makes a big difference. And that really helps me to justify these live streams to my wife. She'll let me come out and play if I keep doing keep getting these donations. No. Yeah, there's some regrets in this carving. I want to push this leaf, but yeah, there is too much flatness going on. I wish I would have turned this one more. I wish this one was I guess this one's fine. This is okay. Yeah. I can still do something here. I'm gonna see if I can angle this one a little bit. I just don't like how it's laying. Okay. That's better. I have a real skill for being in front of the camera. One of my favorite angles or shots that I get is this one. When I'm doing a carving demo, and this is people love this angle when I can do that. All right. That's better. That's better. I'm just gonna go over this real lightly with some sandpaper. As soon as I grab my mask over here, here it is. Just to keep the dust from the old lungs. Are you sure your wife didn't nudge you toward broom making videos? She might be. She might be. Have you heard of their flat out flat? Is that also from General Finishes? Because I have not. I'll have to check that out. My wife does have to approve everything that I do while she's away at work. So, in fact, I ran this very live stream by her before I started. I'm a very wise man. Did it get permission? No. Gosh. The nice thing about the broom is it's a nice means of transportation. You know, so I travel by broom pretty often now. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a good product. It sounds like a very similar product to Dead Flat. Maybe they just rebranded it. I don't know. The season is coming up. Always a good time for a new ride. That's right. Bloom for our flying season is just around the corner. Nothing like a mask to reveal how bad your breath smells. And I'm gonna need to take a break and scrub my mouth after this video, that's for sure. I'm not sure which is worse for me, my breath or this wood dust. All right, you know what? Snails for breakfast. There's so many snails on this plate, I can't even see the food. Now go bring me back those cheese snacks that you tucked us out of. Anyone catch the reference? No, no one catch you the reference? All right. fine. Guys, I think this is a first for me. I think I might actually be finishing a carving on a live stream. So for those of you who suffered along with me, thank you for watching. I think I'm going to put a clear coat on this one, and we might as well do it in real time since you've waited this long. Just going to throw a few veins here and here, here and there, here and here, and here. And call this one a wrap. Let's give this wood finish a try, huh? Couple little things here. All right. Maybe a shave. That's okay. It's a reference from The Jerk. All right, so let's put some clear coat on this one. Okay. All right. is that dead flat. And put this away. Grab a towel. Get any excess out of here. And it's a little humid in here, so I'm going to turn the AC on to dehumidify it. And make sure the environment's nice and dry. I don't want to see anything happen to this finish. A lot of times if it's too humid in the room, this finish will dry sort of a milky, kind of opaque way. It's not good. So try to work out any of the excess so that you're not giving an opportunity for that to happen. So I have a completely separate dry brush here. And this will dry significantly lighter than it is now, which is part of the beauty of this finish, is that it maintains its natural color, maybe just a shade darker, whereas most polys and clear coats are going to darken up the wood a whole lot. So I'm not going to fuss with it a lot more than that. But there you go. That's the first time a carving's been pretty much finished on a live stream. So oh boy. Yeah, you don't want to play with it too much after this point because you're going to start messing up the finish. Just want to make sure there isn't any pooling happening. And it's that. Thanks for liking the video, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching all that YouTuber junk. Thanks, Sunflower, for watching. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And see you guys in the next one.